Welcome. Welcome to everyone who is joining us today on our day 2 of Vagina Monologues live stream. It's a Vagina season on She Stands Tall project. And so today we are moving into hosting our first piece. And before I do that, I wanted to create a context and tell you more about those who are joining us for the first time, a little bit about Vagina Monologues, and what a better way to do that than watch a very short introduction to what we did yesterday, of Vagina Monologues. And then we begin from there. So enjoy this.
I bet you're worried. I was worried. That's why I began this piece. I was worried about vaginas. I was worried what we think about vaginas, and I was even more worried that we don't think about them. I was worried about my own vagina. It needed a context, a community, a culture of other vaginas. There is so much darkness and secrecy surrounding them. Like the Bermuda Triangle, nobody ever reports back from there. In the first place, it's not so easy to even find your vagina. Women go days, weeks, months without looking at it. I interviewed a high-powered businesswoman. She told me she didn't have time. Looking at your vagina, she said, is a full day's work. You've got to get down there, on your back, in front of a mirror, full length preferred. You've got to get in the perfect position with the perfect light, which then becomes shadowed by the angle you're at. You're twisting your head up, arching your back. It's exhausting. She was busy. She didn't have time. So I decided to talk to women about their vaginas. They began as casual vagina interviews, and they turned into vagina monologues. I talked with over 200 women. I talked to younger women, older women, married women, lesbians, single women. I talked to college professors, corporate professionals, actors, sex workers. I talked to African American women, Asian American women, Hispanic women, Native American women, Caucasian women, Jewish women. At first, women were a little shy, a little reluctant to talk. But once they got going, you couldn't stop them. Women love to talk about their vaginas. They do. They really do. Mainly because no one's ever asked them before.
So that's where the journey of Vagina Monologues began. So it's the Vagina Monologues. It is an episodic play that was written by Eve Ensler in 1996, and it was staged for the first time in New York at Broadway. And since then, this play, in the beginning, it was a monologue. So what we are performing in these 14 days, we are performing the Vagina Monologue play. Yeah. So it's not a monologue. We are many women who are performing these pieces every day, and we have chosen 14 pieces over the next 14 days. And I also wanted to just take a moment to invite you, you're maybe watching from your home, from your work, wherever you are, to just say the word vagina. That's what we did yesterday. We said vagina in so many ways. And this whole journey is about reclaiming back that word. And why? Why is because women empowerment is connected to women's sexuality. And women's sexuality is connected to vagina. And across the world, women have moved through abuse. The vagina has been abused, has been raped. So much of violence women have moved through, women and girls, and incest. Yeah. And many times these stories are hidden. They are not mentioned. They are pushed inside, pressed down without a voice. And anything that is pressed down without a voice, it starts losing power. So this whole series is an invitation to women to start speaking, not just women, women, men, everyone, to start naming, using this word, the sacred word, vagina, in our conversation. Yeah. And especially for women to claim back their power, the power of their stories. And it is a celebration. And how does something become a celebration? When something is dark and hidden and pressed down and not seen, then it loses power. It is not seen. It is not even there to celebrate. And as we start speaking it, as we start naming it, as even if the stories are painful and disastrous, when we start talking about it, it starts gaining light. It starts becoming visible. And when something is visible and starts coming out into the light, it becomes celebratory. Yeah. So this is a celebration of all stories of vaginas. Yeah. And giving name and place to the pain as well as the pleasure that comes from the vaginas. So today, the piece. Yeah. So today we are beginning our monologue, and most of the monologues that Eve Ensler interviewed, yeah, they are all verbatim. So it's exactly as the women shared with her. And some of them are composite interviews, like many brought together. And some, she says that there was a seed of an interview. We just had a good time, and then she grew that seed, yeah, and developed that seed. But this particular monologue that you're going to hear today, it is pretty much the way it was said and the way Eve Ensler heard it. Its subject, she says, came up in every interview, and often it was fraught. The subject being hair. Enjoy.
You cannot love a vagina unless you love hair. Many people do not love hair. Do you love hair?
My first and only husband hated hair. He said it was cluttered and dirty. He made me shave my vagina. It looked puffy and exposed like a little girl. This excited him.
When he made love to me, my vagina felt the way a beard must feel. It felt good to rub it, and painful, like scratching a mosquito bite. It felt like it was on fire. There was screaming red bumps. I refused to shave it again.
Then my husband had an affair. When we went to marital therapy together, he said he was screwing around on me because I wouldn't please him sexually. I wouldn't shave my vagina.
The therapist had a German accent and gasped between sentences. To show her empathy, she asked me why I didn't want to please my husband.
Well, I told her I thought it was weird. I felt little when my hair was gone down there, and I couldn't help talking in a baby voice. And the skin got irritated, and even calamine lotion wouldn't help it. She told me marriage was a compromise.
And I asked her if shaving my vagina would stop him from screwing around. I asked her if she had many cases like this before.
She said questions diluted the process. I needed to jump in. She was sure it was a good beginning.
This time, when we got home, he got to shave my vagina. It was like a therapy bonus prize. He clipped it a few times, and there was a little blood in the bathtub. He didn't even notice it, because shaving actually made him happy.
Then later, my husband was pressing against me, and I could feel his sticky sharpness sticking into me, my puffy, naked pussy.
There was no protection. There was no fluff.
I realized then that hair is there for a reason. It's the leaf around a flower, it's the lawn around a house.
You have to love hair in order to love vagina. You do have to love hair in order to love vagina.
You can't pick the parts you want.
And besides, my husband never stopped screwing around. You muted.
So that was our piece for today, hair. And now I would like to introduce you to the sisters who were in this monologue. And we are going to be joined by two sisters from yesterday, and we will enter into a reflection on this monologue. So I welcome Meghanaigi. And Meghanaigi is giggling womb, laughing vagina, swaying hair, budding breasts, daughter, sister, auntie, and granddaughter. And I invite Malini. Malini is a yogini in a permanent fluid state, and she feels her learning never ends. And Sunita and I am. Sunita is a creative soul with a seeking for depths, an eternal learner who believed she was a poet only to discover that she is the poet. Welcome, all of you. Yeah, it was what a beautiful, that was amazing. Yeah. And I'm going to also invite Sari. I see Sari is here. Let me invite, I'm going to invite Sari and Martina. And welcome Sari and welcome Martina. So we're going to take a moment, yeah, first to just hear from Meghanaigi, Malini and Sunita as to how was your experience with this piece today? Yeah, how was saying it? How did it settle? Even the first time you met this piece, how was it? Yeah.
So nobody's going to go first. Initially, the first time I read it, I felt, what? I can't even. I don't relate to this. I this is this is this has never happened. This is not me. I'm not here. Yeah, maybe it's happened to other people and other women, and yeah, no. And then I later I read it again and again and again, and then in practice twice, and then it started to show up that I was hiding my my own self disgust and my self uh, dislike towards my vagina, towards myself, in form of it's not happening, it's not me, and that was my first reaction. That was my first awareness from this whole play, from this whole reading, that I don't like what is what I've been uh, born with. I don't like vaginas. I don't like it. I don't know if it is conditioning, uh, that we've always been conditioned that hair is just beautiful here, and as you know, earlier we were saying it's not beautiful anywhere else, and especially on the vagina, it's totally not cool. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Malini. Yeah, for being so brave and courageous and vulnerable to sharing that. And I'm sure that so many of us can also relate to that part. Yeah, that aspect of not liking the hair on the vagina, like it even matters. What? So yeah, and yeah, so I want to really acknowledge you for that sharing.
Say this sentence, then later when my husband was pressing against me, like that spiky sharpness, it's my experience and it's experience of so many women. And it hit me last night, was like, when you have a sore throat, that's what the puffy vagina is like. So you can you even enjoy some yummy food with a sore throat? You can't. So who the hell told you you can actually enjoy something, even life with a puffy vagina? It's not gonna happen there. So it is for me a piece that speak of my journey of having settled down and how I enjoy navigating with my hair there. See my hair up, they can imagine how my hair is down. And I feel all women should be saying that. You see my hair, you love it? That's how beautiful it's down there. And it's also take me back to my 13 years old niece. She's been speaking about the pressure. She's only 13 years old. And she speaks about the pressure there is at school to shave. And it's interesting, the pop culture. Yeah.
It is.
For me, there was an instant connection. I come from a culture which considers hair on the head as the most important thing, an ideal of beauty, and how obsessed we can get about hair, which is wanted, which is in the head, and all the other hair is totally unwanted. So growing up with a notion of what was perfect And that is what is wanted, and what is not wanted, it's not perfect. And what deeply connected me was about pleasing, pleasing the authority, pleasing the patriarchy, pleasing anything that is more powerful. And I think in that sentence about pleasing comes so many subtle layers of what may have gone hidden that is natural as vaginal hair, as natural as any hair in any part of my body. Because pleasing asks you to hide that. You need to hide that which is natural, because what needs to be seen is what becomes acceptable and what the larger collective sanctions it as. So for me to speak about hair, vaginal hair, and to connect to my own feminine, my own body, and what I think, how I have carried the shame of hair peeking out under my arms, in my hands, in my legs, and how I need to immediately cover it up. And the journey to be comfortable in what's natural.
I think let's just take a pause here on that. To hide what is natural, to cover up what is natural. And what a woman moves through, it is so much taken for granted for her to do that as a symbol of beauty. And, just to give a moment at that. You can all take a breath on that. Yeah, Sari and Martina, do you guys have anything that you would like to share as you watched it and this piece?
When I was watching it and listening to the words, I was so puzzled about this whole idea that somebody from outside has a word, like a therapist, as someone who defines what is a good marriage or what is not. That if I don't want to do, for example, if I want to have a short hair or long hair or whatever hair, or shave my head, it's my decision. So how is it linked to a pleasurable marriage in any way? So the idea that I have to be of a certain mold is very peculiar. It's extremely peculiar to say that you can't please your husband because you have hair in your vagina. It's most bizarre. Also that the idea that, like others said, that hair is somehow not looking good. Why not? It's something that we human beings, women and men, decide. It's a cultural thing which can be changed, and it's somehow odd still that a woman can't decide about her own body.
Yeah.
And this is, there are many questions around women's bodies, but this is a very, in a way, it's not a complex question. It's very simple.
Yeah, and I want to voice that again, what you brought, Sari, that who does woman's body belong to, if not her? Yeah. I think just that question, if that can be in the center dialogue of everywhere, I think it's such a powerful that we and I think we as women sometimes don't even realize that my body belongs to me. It's such a, and especially like if I see in India in the cultural context itself, I mean, we have written sentences in scriptures where it could clearly says before when a girl is born she belongs to her father, and then when she's married she's a property of her husband, and then when husband dies it's a son. It's like ridiculous. It makes literally it is just, and we have nothing like that. It's not about right or wrong, but if it is on one side it has to also be on the other side. It can't be just. So it's just very interesting that these questions have been spoken. We have to really start questioning as women. I feel it's for us to really ask. Yeah. And yeah. Martin, I see you reflecting.
Yeah, there's just so much good stuff has been said, so I'm just sort of absorbing that all. And I think like what Sunita said, there was just such a truth in that yeah, I don't even know like what more to add on that because it's so big, that hiding. And I feel like for myself as well as a woman, it's a constant movement of not hiding and being exposing myself, like being myself, being natural, and then pulling back again. So it's like constantly moving, like trying to find, well, where's my safety? Where do I feel, when will I feel safe here, being completely out, as, yeah, opposed to hugging back. But that piece, I remember when I first read it and hearing it again, and our sisters read it so beautifully. I loved how you were all touching your hair. And I especially love when Mega went and smelt her hair. It just brought me to the vagina of like accepting, smell my hair. Like, it was very connecting, yeah. But yeah, the piece, and I mentioned it when we were preparing a few days ago, like it makes me angry. Like, I think there's a moment because there's powerlessness in the piece, and then there's powerfulness in the piece. She like loses her power and then regains her power, and I think when she loses her power, when her husband is shaving her vagina, I'm like, oh, it pisses me off, and her language, and she's become a victim. Like the way she's talking is like she's in a victim. She's like, she's given in to the power over. Yeah. But I love how it ends, how he's still screwing around. And it's just like, boom, like, yeah. Yeah, but it's a huge issue, the hair thing. And if I just think how much time I spend grooming myself, it's hours, cutting your nails, plucking your eyebrows, like taking care of your skin, looking after your punani hair, whoever, it's up to you what you do with your hair. Looking after your feet, shaving your legs, shaving under your arms, creaming your body, washing your hair. Whew. It's a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
For what and for whom, I guess.
Yeah. And I haven't really ever shared this, but this piece, when I first heard it in 2010 or 11, when we were the practice, I literally wanted to disappear because I have experienced this piece. It's my piece. I've literally, and there was no therapist. And I never, in my whole life, I never, growing up, I was not the one who ever felt that I have to do my eyebrows. I did it first time when I went to US. I've never done any of those things to remove your hair, wax. I was not, because my mom comes from a very old tradition. She no lipstick. She never said that you don't need any of that. That's how So and even my vaginal hair, I had no issues. I mean, I have very curly, very thick hair around my vagina, and I remember this, that and in my marriage things were like kind of, and I was the one who was open always to see how else we work this out, and I realized that. And there was this one instant where my ex-husband suggested this, and I could not understand the world of this, like what has this got to do with it. But I remember I did that once, and it's exactly like it's in this. It was in our bathtub. There was of blood. He never saw any of that. That's when I realized that this is something really messed up here. And I would never, ever do this ever again. And nobody has the right to do this. And I mean, of course, I'm not in that marriage. I came out. So for me, I feel like Vagina Monologues, and that monologue, when I heard it, it actually gave me this, because that time I was already out of the way, out of my marriage. That's when I entered my women's spirituality program. It really authenticated or affirmed that my knowing and my body belongs to me, and nobody has the right. And that was my next, what I want, the word that I want to bring here is consent. That word I want to touch. I mean, we won't go very much into it, but I want to touch that word, this word consent and permission. This we really do not, our boys, really, we don't teach our boys consent and permission for women's bodies and even mothers' bodies. And I think that's where it begins. It's with the mother's bodies, where mother can also say no. Mother can also say to a child if she, but we, even in India, we don't have, mother can never say no to the child. That's where I think also in some of I feel countries like India, that is this is still not, it's still quite not at all in conversation. We are now beginning the conversation around whose right, women consent, permission, rights. Who does her body belong to? So consent. So this is something that I want maybe to each one of you to just touch upon your own journey with consent, and to the journey of that. Your consent is the most important thing. Your consent, and of course it's mutual, but since there's something about women that we don't know that it matters somehow. And with this piece as well, so we can do it with this piece. Was there consent and permission in this piece, in the piece, this piece?
I do. I think it's been a kind of a matter that belongs to the history, how women have been growing up. So consent, as far as I can remember, was never, as you said, it wasn't important. And I don't think I even thought about consent until, 10 years back. And that's very, very late in your life. And because there's this idea that I need to know first, I need to be clear. And that was never taught. Well, I don't know if you can actually teach it. You can, but the kind of curriculum you need is very different than you have it at school. It's not about biology, or it's not about where you are. It's really about what matters to me, and how do I want to be in a relationship with whoever I want to be, including myself. And that consent discussion is something that is so deep, so important, and so not discussed.
Thank you so much, Sari.
I think the line in the piece which says you can't pick the parts you want, I think it holds a wisdom that came to me much, much later in my life. Because I myself was only picking the parts, and not the whole of me. And as Sari was talking about consent, what I want to add out here is that silence is not consent.
Yeah.
And it can be considered consent because it is convenient to project what the other wants onto the silence. And belonging to a collective which puts women in pedestals who are silent, who do not voice out, who are pleasing and considered to be graceful, when you are silent and not really talking too much and having an opinion. Consent is actually asking and saying out loud. That is what is consent. Because I've sat with women, even men, who do not understand way into their adult life that it needs to be asked and given.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Sunita. Yeah, consent for me always goes with permission. Without permission, there is no consent. Consent and permission, they stand hand in hand. And then I would add another word is space. You can ask permission and not give any space for the other to respond, and then you can assume that it's consent. So, and safety, because space only, you have to create the space. So I think these things go hand in hand. You have to really want to know what the other wants. Only then the consent matters. Because many times I feel like even in my own relationships, I know things were asked, but not because there was an opportunity to answer, but just to tick that you've been asked, but there is no space and you're moved, you're like, I need time to answer this. But then you are like, oh, you are too headstrong a woman because you've been asked, but you're not answering. But then that isn't, consent is not, that's a consent, permission, space. They all go, and it's mutual. It's not just women, even if for men. It's I think, and it's not just with sexuality. I think it's with anything, right? I think we don't feel as adults that we need to take permission with people for what belongs to them to take. I know it's such a, it's such a topic.
What I want to say is that part of permission, like from where I am right now in my life and from what I see, it's like we don't even ask permission from Earth.
Yeah.
Like I still came from a tradition, like even in Mauritius, I remember as a child we were building our house, we asked permission from the Earth. But I don't know how many people do that. And it hit me like, oh, whatever we do to the Earth comes back to women's body.
Yes.
So you stripe out the land and you want the Earth now to give you a magnificent harvest, and it doesn't work, and then you come up with it doesn't work. And I feel we do that with women's vagina. You shave it and you want things to work there, and even the calamine lotion is not going to help you, and you come up with other chemicals. So yeah, for me, when I think of permission, it's about Earth, and then it's by my body as a woman, not understanding that what I want matters, and what I want has its own nature and its own cycle. So if I say yes today, doesn't mean I'm going to say yes in a week. It's going to cycle around. So even women are numb and like through trauma lenses, we are frozen to this nature of ours. Like I'm frozen to my nature of what I want, what I need is cyclical. When I say yes, it's a different yes and a different motion. And men, and sadly, as we say, and you've written it so beautifully in your patriarchal pieces, whether it's not about shaming anybody, but the trauma that we know today has been caused by men.
Yeah.
And like holding space for this for me as a woman, but also for men, because there's a quality of work that has to happen on different levels here. Consent and permission and asking and waiting, listen and hear, receiving. And a no is a no, a yes is a yes.
Yeah.
And as much as bushy land is not dirty land, so bushy vagina is not dirty vagina.
Right. And a no can change any minute, and a yes can change any minute, and it still applies. Yeah. And yeah. And as you spoke, I had this song in my head. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. Pave paradise and put up a parking lot. It's like one of my favorite songs. She's talking about all the places that you take out the forest, you take out naturally growing organic, and you put up a lawn or you put up a pavement, and you say that's beautiful. And it's just like women's vagina and the hair around the vagina.
Body.
Yeah, our body. I stopped doing all of that. I stopped doing that a while back. I have hair. I love my hair. And if I would also voice this, who cares, like I would shave my vagina only when, and I don't shave it fully, I give it a little bit movement is when I bleed, just before I bleed, because sometimes the blood gets caught in the thing and it's too much maintenance. So then I allow that, and again it grows. By next bleeding it's a fully grown bush, and then I take some time to and I don't even shave, I use scissors. It's a whole ritual that I do, and I love it. I love that ritual that I do with my so yeah.
And I want to add to what you just shared, like I have kind of a ritual. So each time I trim mine, I'll offer the hair back to the earth, because for me it's like it's some sort of fertilizer. It is a fertilizer.
Yes.
But I want to just add one little thing that as women, we today I have been so doctrined or conditioned to think that a plain skin, my plain skin, and this plain and this plain, mustache, and this is beautiful. And I don't see it otherwise. I mean, it's so deep in me that I remember having schooled I was such a, I could say that I have schooled many people. I have schooled my mother saying that, because I think it was conditioned, it was put in a very young age. And I subjected myself at a later in marriage, I subjected myself to the Brazilian wax and the bikini wax. And it was the most hilarious and painful moments of my life, because the place I went to did not know a thing about how to do it. It was not that advanced as it is today. And they put me through agony. They used something else and they wanted to rip it and it didn't come out. It was plain shameful agony, and I was in pain. But the visuals that we see, the television or say media is so powerful that we volunteer. So the consent that we are talking about, I think we ourselves are giving consent. Yes, come and shave off the hair there. And I've spoken to many beauticians who say that, ma'am, you're getting scared only for this hair. There are doctors who come in, there are MBBS nurses who come in who ask for complete removal of, there shouldn't be even a dot of hair. And then they justify it by saying that it's clean, ma'am. It's the beautician's job to see to it that she doesn't lose you, because she sees that you're hesitating from now. And she says, it's clean, ma'am. And the day I heard this, I said, oh, clean. What have I learned? Who is my teacher? And what have I done to myself? I have consented to rip off this hair and go through the whole pain.
I think, Malini, you're bringing up a very important thing. And Megha, when you said that about the nature, that we have lost our connection with the nature, it's so true. It's so true. And we shouldn't, as a woman, I should not blame myself for subjecting myself to that image, because it's everywhere. And that brought me into something that I would like to add, which is about age. That much of this beauty is about being young forever.
Yeah.
So at my age, it doesn't matter how many times I shave myself, shave my vagina. I won't be 12 anymore, or 15 or 20. It doesn't help. So in some sense, I'm also thinking that whether there's a kind of a background thought beside the business of it, of course, that it's somehow shameful to be older and more hairier, like a monster. A woman becomes a monster when you get old and you're hairier. You should be running away and screaming. Whereas when you're shaved, you're young, you're forever 12, kind of thing. So I think there's something twisted in that. And I'm not saying, I just want to say that, I'm not saying that I think anyone can do whatever they want. So it's your choice, but it's a choice.
Yeah, very true, Sari, what you're saying. Yeah, and even I think the idea of beauty has shifted over the years. And I think this clean word that Malini you also brought, I mean, I'll just name it. I mean, we are almost, I think, at time. I'm looking at the time as well. That the Puritan, right? The pure and impure. It's the same piece that what is, and it is connected with color. It is connected in so many ways, like white is pure and every other shade of white is not pure. Or, like that's why menstruation, the blood becomes impure. So what looks smooth and plain is clean and pure. And in India, we have a whole hierarchy of caste, which has come based on this purity of people, so it's like this whole way that, and I want to also bring the attention on the word trauma. And I feel that all this is what I'm hearing, and I hear again and hear again, is the separation that has happened from the body. And it is one of the symptoms of trauma, when we move through a very painful experience to separate out. And I feel like there's so much of that trauma that is still sitting dormant in the human collective, in the human bodies, that I think that disconnect of also creates the disconnect in the way we see things. And, and it's just very, very, I think from what my own life, what I learned is we can start being curious about our own relationship with all of these, what we all shared, and how it sits in our body, whether it makes us comfortable and uncomfortable. And however it is, to know that, I have to find the movement for it. And that, and I feel, I hope, and I wish and I pray that every woman starts questioning, who am I doing this for? Whose need is it? And we could still shave, but now I'll do it for me. Who am I doing it for? I'll still do it for you too. It doesn't matter, but it's still, I am choosing to do this, I am choosing. So I think that is, most important. And that is, and as we know, beauty, the cultural conditioning is, it's not that easy to stand out. And that's why I feel like women have to support women in this movement, and I think that's I feel is very, very important for us to, yeah, be.
Can I add a few things
Yes,
very quickly?
please, yeah.
It's just been so nice just to be here. Like, I just feel so privileged to just be part of this discussion. Like, this is the stuff I like to talk about. But when we were talking about consent, and when Sunita was sharing what she was sharing, I was remembering it, like in my own experience, that the whole consent experience, it happens so quickly. It's like as quick as it takes to fall pregnant, or what. It just happens so quickly, and next thing you're like, I didn't consent, and now there's this whole thing going on. And I'm not just talking about sex, I'm talking about the whole spectrum of moments in your life when you give consent. And so what I've been learning, and I don't always get it right, is to slow down. When someone asks you something, and instead of just like, yeah, here, have my number, do this, and I'm like, I've once had, like, I'm putting my number in a guy's phone. I'm like, what am I doing? I don't want to give this guy my number. Like, so I'm learning, oh, slow down. What do you want? And then respond. Like, so those two words, slow down, is like a big part of the consent movement. And then what we haven't said here, and I'm sure that there's people watching, so we haven't spoken about porn. Because the way your vagina looks, and the way that we aspire our vagina to look like, has been very much determined by the porn industry. And it's like, who's watching? Who's not watching? Who wants that pussy? Who doesn't even know about that pussy? Like, so it's a big player there as well. And I think that the porn thing, it's huge. I don't even think us women can begin, because we're not in a man's body, to know how big an influence it has, and how big the industry is, and just all of that. So yeah, I remember like being in a club with a friend, and like some guy making like some disgusting comment to her, and I just like realized, I was like, this guy's just been at home like watching hours of porn. Like, that's his reality. Like, he doesn't know what we're, again, like I said yesterday, it's like we've entered another space of knowing, and there's so many people who haven't even touched sides with this space. Like, so what do we do with those encounters? And when that person is your husband, your lover, your date, like, yeah. So I'm just voicing that here, just to acknowledge the porn, and how it conditions me as well, conditions how I want my vagina hair to look, and that it's a journey, like coming to love your vulva, coming to love your hair, choosing how you want your vagina to be. It's like your thing. Like, for me, it's taken a long time to like come to this place and I'm not even where I want to be. Yeah, so it's like this ongoing thing.
It is a journey.
Yeah, I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, it is a journey against all odds. That we undertake.
Yeah.
It is when we undertake this movement.
That's great.
It is journey against all odds, because it's the push from the one side as you're moving is so much more. That's why I feel sisterhood and having that tribe or clan where we can be seen in this movement is so important for women. And thank you, Martina, for naming the porn industry. And I hope that we will definitely go there as the monologue progresses, and we have to discuss it, because I had watched a documentary many times back where it said it is even bigger than the weapons and the that it is the biggest industry. It is the number one money making industry, more than weapons. I mean, we can't even comprehend. Weapon we think is the biggest, but this is even beyond. So we can know how much trauma also there exists, and how minds, vulnerable minds, are also molded and shaped into these movements. And yeah, so these are like, as women, and to know all of this is also part of our journey, and to hold this as well, because I knew in my marriage that all the ideas that my partner had about sexuality was through porn. I had not watched porn or anything like that, but I knew that, because it was. And then it just very. So then I realized that's how most men know about sexuality, boys and men, is porn. And it is like a whole industry channeling something. Yeah. And I hope that as days go, we talk more about this, because I think this is a great conversation. And maybe we just take a pause. I mean, we have brought such powerful topics here, and just to see how are we doing? How is the nervous system doing? What feelings are we sitting with? And anyone who is watching or will watch, to know that it's okay if you feel, like activated or triggered or emotional or angry, any emotions are there. Yeah. And thank you to each one of you, for being vulnerable, being brave and courageous in voicing and speaking, and that we are together on this. We're sitting here. And the journey continues. And we have another 12 more days of this journey to look forward to. So have a wonderful evening, and slow down. I want to echo that word as well of what Martina brought. Slowing down, that's the work. It's learning to slow down. So even today evening, I hope, we all make the time to really care, self-care. So thank you, everyone. Good night, good day, good morning, wherever you're joining us from, or you'll watch it. So blessed be.